really, to me, it speaks to the point of why some people really don't enjoy professional sports as much as they should, because some of these guys seem as if some type of fix was in. And that's really my take on it. I know that's a little bit of a conspiracy type take, but just going over his interview, I watched it full. I was like, I got to see what this guy is going to say. He was totally nonchalant.
Right, he definitely was
Didn't even really act like he just got his butt kicked by 39 at home in a closeout game, which is just totally disrespectful to your fans. Which, if you watch Cw&P Nation, you know we do not like when the team does not put on a good show for their fans, whether it be by resting or just coming out on the floor and resting the whole game. So, yeah, James Harden played, but did he really play? Why did he play like that? Why did he not care about his performance? Even Mike D'Antoni in the press conference afterwards was like, oh, no big deal. He might have had a cold or something. And I'm like, that does not take into account for the horrible
Can't talk like
way
that when
that
I'm
he
drinking
played.
water.
If James Harden had played like that in college or in any high school, he would have never made it to the NBA. So this is very strange. You're the marquee player for your team. You're the person who all the hopes and dreams lie on. You had girls in the audience crying because of what you pulled.
Wow.
I saw it.
Wow.
Shame on you, James Harden. You're in the club partying the night after, and people are chatting MVP.
Night of. Yeah.
What type of MVP are you? At first we were all mad that the MVP didn't come out when it was supposed to, but now I'm so happy they're holding it back, because if they give the MVP to James Harden, I might be done with the NBA next year, because this is horrible just for the performance. Russell Westbrook might not have made it out of the first round, but he fought every single game.
Well, I want to go to a point that I think is very important here,
Yes,
and
sir.
I want to go back to the end of Game 5, because if you're in charge of leading your team, which Harden is,
Definitely.
and after the Rockets won a jump ball, they had about 8 seconds left, and Harden was obviously in a precarious position where he was at with the basketball, and instead of calling a timeout and being heady and showing that he knew the situation, Harden instead went ahead and just made a bonehead play, took a bad shot, didn't really have what he needed to be doing in mind, and obviously was unaware of the situation he had at hand. And I think what we need to remember is that while we praise James Harden for having such a great season, we always define people, fair or not, by how they do in the playoffs.
It's definitely fair, Big Mike. I'll let you know that right now. That's the biggest stage.
And up until this point, up until the end of Game 5 and obviously Game 6, which was a total train wreck, the Rockets had looked like a team who could contend for a title. And then for all of a sudden, for there to be just a complete lapse of coaching, of playing, of discipline, I put that a lot on James Harden. I also put it on Mike D'Antoni. He got absolutely outcoached, outthought. I mean, it's not really an insult when it's Popovich because he outthinks a lot of people. But here's the thing.
But, Big Mike, will you lose by 39 at home in a closeout game?
No, I'm saying that Harden deserves a lot of the blame, but that
I'm talking about your point about D'Antoni and Harden. It's very good.
Well, D'Antoni proved why he's not Coach of the Year as much as Harden proved why he's not the MVP.
That's what I'm saying. That's horrible.
I mean, 39 in a closeout game at home. I actually think that if Hebrew Pluto, myself, and we had taken Andy Raven, Chris Lemoyne, Jeremy Farding, and Joshua Solibury, we could have actually done 39 points, and we would all take one game check for all the guys who were kind of pretending to play.
I'll be set for the rest of my year, Big Mike.
So that's my point. With Cw&P, we wouldn't be hurting for money at that point. But my point is this. The Rockets should be ashamed of themselves as a team. Let's not put it on one person, even though a lot of it needs to go that direction.
Exactly.
The Rockets played like garbage as a team, and you have veterans like Eric Gordon, Trevor Ariza, Derek Anderson. I mean, you have guys on that team who have had success in the league and who have played well.
And
but
Nick Anderson can't even hit a shot.
Well, and look, I mean, the Rockets played an absolutely abysmal game. It absolutely was the worst playoff performance I've ever seen.
In my lifetime, I'm agreeing.
Ever seen. Well, Pluto, do you agree with that comment that that's the worst playoff performance you've ever watched?
Definitely from someone who's supposed to be, if we're talking about Harding, definitely someone who's supposed to be top-notch elite kind of a play. That's a huge choke. But in general, the team, this was a team that's like, how did they get this deep into the playoffs? You know, but
With
but
that,
like,
yeah.
how did they get to the playoffs? But I mean, obviously the record gets them there. But yeah, no, I think you're looking at your standard choking under pressure. You know,
Oh, that's a good point.
I made my vacation plans. I'd like to go now.
Now that point is
That's
what I
awesome.
said in our group text that we know we keep going. I thought that James Harden booked a vacation that he did not want to miss.
Well, and you know what? And in all fairness, I think that's a really good point. But I think the overall assessment of this is James Harden is just doing what he's known for, and that's in big moments he's not stepping up. And I think that's a lot of the reason why so many people have been critical of him and just his laissez-faire attitude, and I'm going to take the game off type of thing because I've got a vacation plan. James, you create those conversations, player, when you absolutely 100% do not show up to play. And I think we all agree on Cw&P that it was absolutely just a ridiculous performance.
And that's the part I hate the most that you just brought up. The laissez-faire, it's like he didn't even care. Like, fight. This is a sport. This is a grown man game.
Well,
Fight.
it definitely is that. So transitioning from obviously what we consider a poor performance to our deep dish segment.
We had a good appetizer platter. Now it's time for some deep dish.
Absolutely. And deep dish, obviously, in honor of deep dish pizza, to go with the show. And
Are we going to Chicago tonight, Mike?
I wish. I wanted to bring up, though, you know, for deep dish, we study the Bible every week at this time. And we talk about God's plan for your life. And obviously, as believers here on the show, we obviously trust the Lord for where he's taking our lives and what he's doing in it, regardless of what we might be dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And one thing in deep dish that I wanted to bring up was Jeremiah 29:11, where the Lord, you know, says, I know the plans that I have for you. They are for hope and a future and not destruction. And he knows that we want to have a future to live for. And while his will may not always match up with what we deem as successful or what we deem we won, the Lord is always going to have our back 100% no matter what. And that's what we believe here on Cw&P. And I want to shout out not just sports fans. I want to present this to anybody who's out there right now worried about what's in the news, worried about what's in the world, worried about what you see going on in your country with your politics, with all the different things that you see. We're not a political show, but when you have the Lord on your side and you know those plans are always meant for good and not evil, and they're always meant to put you in the right direction regardless of how hard it may be at times, you can always have that hope with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. In Hebrew, I'll pass it over to you.
Amen. I definitely love this type of deep dish. God's plans are so awesome that, you know, you make your own plans as a man, as a boy, as a girl, as a woman. And God's plans are always so much better than what you can even make for yourself, especially when you decide to align yourself with the Lord, you know, and try to walk with him daily. And
Absolutely.
As far as that goes, even, you know, in the book of Jeremiah, it speaks about how God called him before he was even born in his mother's womb and had plans for him that he did not know about. And I'm sure Big Mike and Pluto could attest to this fact that even, you know, as we made our decisions as young men and teenagers, we didn't know we were going to end up being ministers, which is really what this is in front of you if you didn't know or not. My brother Pluto makes Christian music. He works for his ministry, doing all kind of technical things that they need in graphic designs. So basically his daily life is ministry. Me and Big Mike don't have the opportunity to work for a ministry every day, but definitely just by our daily walk, the way we love our families.
Cider Ranch people, tune in.
The way we love our families, the way we go work hard for our families, this all speaks to the Christian men that we have become. And the way that we choose to spend our free time. Saturday night, all three of us could be out at Buffalo Wild Wings watching the game right now.
Oh, let's go.
And instead of that, we're here, you know, doing this because, A, we get to do what we love, which is talk sports. But the most important part of it, which would be we get to minister the love of Jesus Christ to people just through our personalities, through our attitudes, through this segment that we choose to take out. It's really a blessing because I know I didn't have plans on being what I am today on my side time, which is a Christian rapper, Christian, you know, clothing line owner. Everything I do in my free time basically is to try to bolster Christianity. And I did not have that plan as a little boy, you know, wanting to be a football star After that, wanting to be a regular rapper, having aspirations for all type of selfish reasons. But the Lord's plan was so much better for my life, Big Mike's life, Pluto's life, that all those selfish desires were transformed into ways that we can get people the gospel. And that's what I really love about the Lord Jesus Christ. That's what I love about our Father in heaven, that he can really take you by your hand and lead you to the place he wants you to be. And that's what this Deep Dish is about. Just today, I challenge you, if you are a Christian, to submit your life, your will, everything you do to the Lord, and see where he take you, what he would have you do, and the opportunity that arises in your daily life for you to minister to somebody and show them God's plan for their life, because that's what it's all about. So we must, do our best to reach other people and to try to live our lives daily as a Christian, right? That's God's plan. That's the Great Commission. We out here fishing.
No, and no doubt about it. And I think that from a Christian perspective means so much to this show, because that's what allows us to represent not only the sports that we love, but our Lord and Savior every single day. And it really speaks to the fact that when coaches have a plan for their teams, we talk about great coaches. You talk about Bill Belichick, Don Shula, Greg Popovich, Phil Jackson. For those of you who are hockey fans, Scotty Bowman. And you just go down the list. Joe Torre for the New York Yankees, Sparky Anderson for the Cincinnati Reds back in the day, Earl Weaver for the Baltimore Orioles. You can go down the list of great managers and coaches, and all of them had a great game plan. And when you allow the Lord to run your life, that's
right.
essentially what you're doing, is you're taking his game plan, and it's not always easy. It's like when John Wall's taking a game winner with, elimination on the line. You are allowing the Lord to call your plays, and that is a very difficult thing to do, and no one is ever going to say that the Christian walk is easy.
And speaking to what we were talking about, I got my bro on here, Roland Schmidt, all the way from middle school. And you can hit that guy up and let you know we were not about Christianity and, trying to do all this type of stuff.
Right.
And this is the type of stuff that really blesses me about this show. We're reaching people from our childhood that have the opportunity to see what's going on now. And I know all my boys are shocked because they know what type of guy I was.
And I want to
shout out my bro, shout out Steven Griffith on there. I really love it.
And Stephen Griffin is a friend of mine from Kansas City. So shout out Steve and his lovely family. And I love what he said. Without God, we would have no ambitions for greatness, and it cannot be said any better.
True greatness, not selfish greatness.
Right. If you're looking for greatness in the sense of what the world thinks greatness is, that's one thing entirely. But if you're looking for greatness in a realm that's higher than this world, then you definitely have to be on that track. And it's hard to stay on the straight and narrow. That's why not a lot of people choose to do it. But for those of us who do, and for those of us who seek counsel with the Lord, it is definitely a winning strategy. Pluto, do you have anything to add to our discussion in Deep Dish tonight, sir?
No, you guys did a really good job. We know that God has our back. We know the promises that He's made, and we also know that the Christian walk ain't that easy. So I think anyone who's born again or Christian will tell you a story about being at the bottom and how God brought them up. So it's built into the DNA of the gospel.
Without question.
It's all about betterment. It's all about helping yourself out and then turning to your neighbor and helping them out and telling them about the Word of God. And so I think that's you guys did a good job.
And I want to give a shout out real quick before we continue. Hey, Josh, do me a favor, chime in on Facebook Live, and I want to make sure that Jason's listening, buddy. So just let me know.
And before we move on, I do want to leave this one scripture. Hi, what up, Roland? I see you, bro. I miss you too. We'll get up. But I do want to leave this scripture that really popped in my heart, especially with Griffith saying ambitions for greatness. And it's actually now our foundational scriptures for this whole ministry that we have called Chicken Wings and Pizza. 1 Corinthians 9:23. Starting with verse 23. I do all this for the sake of the gospel, that I may share in the blessings. Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize. Everyone who competes in the game goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last. But we, Cw&P Nation, do it to get a crown that will last forever. Therefore, I do not run like someone running aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer beating the air. And this is what my brother Steven was talking about, what Big Mike was talking about. We have such a great prize waiting for us in heaven that this is what our job is, to share that you can get that prize too. All you got to do is join the team. And you know that's very simple to become a Christian. You just have to believe in your heart that Jesus was born. He came down here, he sacrificed his own life so that we can have new life. You believe that he is the Lord and Savior of your life and God. Go out and make that public confession. And you're a Christian, you're on the winning team, and you can now start running that race for this great prize that we're going to get at the end.
Amen to that. And I think it was an excellent deep dish segment. And I think it's a perfect way to segue into...
Are we interested in the result of 211? UFC 211?
Yes,
Definitely.
please go ahead and hit us up. Results
Are
from
you
2S.
ready for this?
Go for it.
Illegal knee in the second round, no contest.
Are you kidding me?
Really?
What? I want to see that illegal knee.
I think there's some NHL fans out there, especially Jeremy Farting. How are we doing on the Pins and the Senators right now? Speaking of live scores.
I can do this.
Okay, go right ahead.
Pitt's down 2-1.
Okay, fair enough. So Ottawa's leading that one. Any time left in that one that's reasonable?
Final overtime. It's done.
Okay, so that game's over. So the Ottawa Senators lead the Pens 1-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, I do want to give a special shout-out before we get into Sweet and Sour to my nephew Jason, who actually ran today for the Stride-Right track team in Missouri. And I wanted to acknowledge him because he actually qualified for the finals in the 200-meter at the prelims, and he ran that in 32:27, which is 2 minutes faster than I could ever do. And then Jason ran the 400-meter in 1 minute and 15 seconds. And also, shout out to my nephew Deshaun, who placed 13th in the 200 at 32:88, and then 18th in the 400 at 1 minute 24 seconds. Proud of both of you guys. And
you know Hebrew's proud of you too. You got another uncle right here. Keep up the good job, boys.
Keep doing your thing in track, boys. Really do appreciate you guys listening and having you guys on the show. Okay. So we're going to dip into a little bit of sweet and sour before the break, and I think we would be remiss if we didn't.
We got some chicken strips for that sweet and sour dip, Big Mike?
I would love to have some chicken strips for that. Unfortunately, I don't have any available to me right now. However, I want to get in back to Dirty Draymond, and earlier this week, he made another comment.
What's the kid's name on Charlie Brown? Pigpen?
Pigpen. Okay, wow, you're calling him Pigpen?
Pigpen Green.
Wow, okay. So anyway, Dirty Draymond said earlier this week that he felt the Cavs were facing...
Hey, Josh, your nephews just got excited. I mean, sorry,
oh,
Big
there
Mike.
we
Your
go. They're
nephews love
super
that
psyched.
shout-out.
I'm glad
I
to
want
hear
you
it.
to know.
Glad to hear it. I can't. That makes me happy right there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That makes my entire show. So he said that the Cavs are facing weak competition and that the Pacers and the Raptors didn't give the Cavs much of a series.
Self-destruct sequence.
However, the Warriors, who Dirty Draymond happens to play for, also swept their opponents in 8 games and made easy work of both the Blazers and the Jazz. None of those games were really close. And
I would say that the Blazers actually did give up no resistance, and the Pacers actually did give up some resistance.
Well, if you want to talk embarrassing closeout games at home, the Blazers lost by over 25.
I know.
To the Golden State Warriors in the first round, but that was a little bit more expected than the Rockets and the Spurs,
Still,
if you will.
that was an easier time.
Hey guys, I need to interrupt because I gave you some wrong information.
Go ahead.
That UFC 211, that was the undercard. That was Alvarez Poirier.
How dare you give us the undercard
I'm
misinformation?
so sorry.
How dare you?
I didn't even know there was an undercard. Yeah, that was the
I didn't know
undercard.
there
The
was
the main fight hasn't happened yet. My bad.
Okay, so no worries. So we're still waiting on results from the main event.
Boo.
But I want to get to this point. So both teams sweep the first 8 games in the playoffs. And the Warriors actually had a bigger margin of victory than the Cavs did. So, Hebrew, are you sweet or sour on Green's comments trying to disregard the Cavs when the Warriors actually had an easier time with their competition?
I'm so sour, just like we were saying in the pre-show. Is Draymond Green trying to be the LeVar Ball of the NBA?
Oh, wow.
I think he's really
That's not a compliment, by the way.
No, I think he's just really saying stuff to get reactions, to
There's
be
no question about
outlandish.
that.
It's like, and I guess ultimately, I kind of like what he's doing because he's trying to get into the heads of the Cavs before they even meet in the finals, which
Fine,
everybody expects is coming up.
and then-
So basically, that's ultimately what he's doing. It's good gamesmanship, a little bit of mental chess. He's like, I know we're going to meet you, and I just want to let you know. I think he basically called them out and said they soft, they sorry, all in one. And I like that he did it. I don't like how outrageous it is because of the same thing we talked about earlier in the show. You guys haven't had too much of a hard run either. And hope you can handle the Spurs down low.
Well, let's put it this way. I want to start by this. I'm super sour on this, and there is no question that Draymond should start spelling his name H-O-crit, which is hypocrite.
Oh.
And you need to stop, Draymond Green. First of all, you're calling people dirty when you're the dirtiest player going. Not to mention the fact that you want to call out the team that beat you in the finals last year in Cleveland, and you and them are making easy work of your first two opponents, which I'm not confident that you can do that in the third round necessarily. But, everything remains to be seen.
Ain't nothing easy coming to these
And
finals.
Draymond, I want to remind you of something. The only reason that anybody knows your name is because you kick people in the groin. You have guys named Durant and Curry and Thompson. I actually think that Zaza Pachulia has a bigger fan club. So I'm sour on it. You need to stop calling people out for the stuff that you're notorious for, Draymond. Just knock it off. Stop with the rhetoric. You're pulling a LeVar Ball. You're saying stuff to make people talk. And then do me a favor. Don't be outraged by the media making a bigger thing of it because you made it a big thing to begin with. You knew what you were doing. You were baiting everybody into it, and enough is enough. Just play basketball, keep kicking people where the sun don't shine, and just play your game, dude. Play defense, don't score any points, and get triple-doubles with rebounds, blocks, and assists, which is pretty impressive, by the way. But I don't, in any way, shape, or form, condone what Draymond's doing. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
I pity the fool.
I do pity the fool. But, I want to get your opinion on this next topic, and we'll start with Pluto on this one. Pluto, the defending World Series champs are obviously the Chicago Cubs for the first time in 108 years. However, they are currently in fourth place in the NL Central and are looking pretty abysmal right now. Nobody seems to be hitting over 250 on the team with the exception of Chris Bryant, and their pitching's been dreadful. Is it too early for the Cubs fans to start worrying about the Cubs' repeat chances, or should the Cubs fans be worried, period?
Cubs fans should always be worried. Cubs fans should worry when there's no baseball. Cubs fans should worry when they wake up.
Are you a White Sox fan?
They should worry when they... No, I'm a Dodger fan.
Dodgers, are you kidding me?
You know what?
LA
Something
kid.
a White Sox fan would say. But go ahead.
Granted, it is it's what, mid-May? It's
Yeah.
a little early here. We've probably got another 130 games left.
Yeah.
So it's a little early to get concerned, but yeah, man. I mean, you got to show some spark. What are they going to do? The worst part, I mean, besides the hitting stat that you quoted, is the pitching. Is there's no one in the pen, and it's. Yeah. Anyway, always worry if you're a Cubs fan. That's the moral of the story.
Hebrew, where are you at on this?
I was just watching the Cubs game before we hit the road. They were down 5-1. Like Pluto said, the pitching I witnessed was horrible. So I really don't understand. I mean, I guess we know why it took 108 years.
Enemy
for them to
sounds
become,
on Cw&P.
We know why it took them 108 years to get that pennant again. Based off the season they're having so far.
Be another 108 years.
That's what I'm trying to say. And so we saw something that's pretty rare.
Winning.
And yeah, Cubs fans, I'll definitely be worried. I'm like, but the good thing is you guys just won one, so it's not too much to be worried about. I mean, you got another 106 years to do it faster.
Okay, Well, I'm 100% sour on people worrying. I want to remind baseball fans of something. Whether your team's in first place, last place, they've played 40 games, people. They got 162 for crying out loud.
Right, it's like 120 games left.
Yeah, I mean, you got 120 games left. Can we stop the rhetoric, please, of I'm worried about how my team's going to finish? Oh, my gosh, it's 40 games in and we're in fourth place. Get over yourselves.
Is there a team right now that you're saying no way?
No.
There's no team right now that you're saying has zero chance of
The
making it.
Brewers, maybe, but I mean, that's going to be about it.
The Mariners?
Are you... Well, yeah, probably the Angels go into that category, unfortunately.
Oh, where's Andy at? He's about to get you.
But here's my thing. Oh, gosh, and Josh brings up the Royals. They look abysmal this year. Here's the thing about it. The baseball season is so long, so much can happen. I think that you really just have to pull off the gas until we get to the All-Star break, and then you know whether your team's got a legit shot or not. This whole thing that ESPN and Fox does, oh my gosh, we're 40 games into the season. Who's your Cy Young winner? We don't know yet. So here's a word of advice. Everybody needs to stop worrying. Baseball's a very long season. There's a reason that we start in April and end in November, because it's a long season, people. Nobody needs to worry about anything. Get over yourselves and just enjoy baseball for the first couple months of the year, unless you're a Brewers fan. I definitely think that maybe it's time. Pluto, are we up against it, or we got time for one more?
You do one more, and then we'll
fair
go.
enough. So before we take our station break, and again, shout out to Not By Bread Alone, FYI Ministries, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live. You guys have all been great tonight. This has been outstanding this evening.
Power 102.1.
And Power 102.1. I would be remiss. I apologize. And I want to play, do we have any dramatic music in that sound box you're playing with? Do we have anything in there that has drama to it? Like the Law and Order dun-dun, like that?
That
like,
would be cool. Hold on, I think...
come on, man.
Stall, man. I gotta...
I know. In pre-production, we got to talk about pre-recorded sounds. Right. I mean, this is... Like, I'm trying to add drama to this part of the segment, and you're not helping me here.
No.
Okay, forget it. So, anyway, I'll do it. Anyway, so as the Celtics turn is going to be our next topic. There we go. That's much better. So on TNT this week, we had a segment where Kevin Garnett, Glenn Big Baby Davis, Rajon Rondo, Kendrick Perkins, and Paul Pierce were sitting around reminiscing about their days with the Celtics. One topic that came up that they were very sore on, apparently, is Ray Allen leaving after the 2012 season to the rival Miami Heat. Now, why this drew so much controversy was because apparently Ray Allen is not in their plans when they celebrate the 10th anniversary of their 2008 title. And Ray Allen, as most people know who follow the NBA, was an integral part as to why the Celtics won that championship and got back to the finals in 2010. Hebrew, are you sweet or sour on these teammates of Ray Allen, former teammates, being so sour on him 5 years after the fact?
I like that alliteration you just pulled, Big Mike. That was very poetic.
Well, thank you.
Anyways, I am very sour on this little group of guys getting together and trying to cut Ray Allen out when clearly, like you said, setting up this topic, they would not have won a championship without the shots Ray Allen hit.
Correct.
They would have never made it back to the finals that year without the shots that Ray Allen hit. Ray Allen made a great movie called He Got Game.
Fantastic movie.
I mean, it's like
shout out Denzel.
I know that's totally a side point to the thing, but it just speaks to the fact that Boston Celtics would not have seen what they saw without a shooter like Ray Allen. Prolific shooter who changed the landscape of the NBA. Really, one of the reasons why everybody wants to shoot so many threes to this day is following that Ray Allen type model.
That's a great
and
point,
actually
Hebrew.
Actually letting a shooter have freedom to just let it go whenever they feel it. This is the Ray Allen model. I mean, imagine if Reggie Miller had the green light that these guys have since Ray Allen came through the league. We would have Steph Curry having a much harder record to break. But anyways, I'm really sour on this point. I mean, I really don't like when guys are bitter over stuff that is out of their control.
Right.
People are, the same way with Kevin Durant. if a guy makes a personal decision for himself, no matter how the decision was made, it was for him and his family, and ultimately for his legacy. And Ray Allen obviously made a great choice because he got a couple chips out there in Miami with LeBron James. So
and hit the biggest shot possibly in NBA Finals history.
Period. So he made a good choice. He might not have made it the right way, but as grown men, you have to forgive. You have to let things go. And you definitely, just like the scripture says, give honor where honor is due. And if Ray Allen was not there, you wouldn't even have saw the championship you saw or the repeat trip back to the finals. So sour on that, guys. You got to get over it. Let Ray Allen come on the tour. You know how many Boston Celtics fans are going to be mad that they're not going to see Ray Allen on that tour? Think about that, guys.
Well, and I want to get to this. I'm so sour on this. And let me ask a question. Why in the world is Glenn Davis and Kendrick Perkins in the room giving their opinion with KG, Rondo, and Pierce? If KG, Rondo, and Pierce had this opinion by themselves, that's one thing entirely.
Especially what you said, Glenn Davis. And,
I mean, Glenn Big Baby Davis is sitting there, and he's giving in a Big Baby. Look, man, we understand you are a great role player on a good team. Let's not get it twisted, though. I'm listening to KG and Pierce before I'm listening to any of these guys. And what's funny is KG has a reputation for being one of the nastiest guys in NBA history when it comes to trash talking, just in general. One of the best
trash talkers in the league.
And he actually was the one that had the least issue with this. And Kendrick Perkins, you just need to get over yourself, dude.
His opinion really doesn't matter.
Like, seriously, go home. Like, you're the one that shouldn't be on the tour. But my thing is this. These guys are 5 years removed from being spited by Ray Allen. First of all, let me ask you a question. Who signs Ray Allen's paychecks? None of them. Who has Ray Allen's legacy in their best interest? Not them. Who has Ray Allen's best interest at heart for him and his family and what he wants to accomplish? Not them. So I get the family part. I get that you were really connected at the hip and all this other stuff. Let me give you some advice, Celtics fans, and to those 5 guys who were complaining. Get over it. KG did the same thing to Minnesota when he left and went and chased a chip with somebody else. So let's not be confused. Title chasers are a dime a dozen. Ask LeBron James and Kevin Durant, because they're doing the exact same thing for the exact same reason. They left teams to go get championships. Now, in LeBron's defense, he went to 4 straight finals. He's been to 6, possibly 7 this year, and has won 3 championships since. But Kevin Durant, he did the exact same thing. He got roasted for it a lot of the time. But don't bring up Ray Allen. He's a Hall of Famer. Other 2 guys on that couch, KG and Paul Pierce, you guys are Hall of Famers, so I think you should chime in. But don't be giving me some garbage that Kendrick Perkins, Rajon Rondo, and Big Baby Davis feels slighted. I could care less.
And more to your point, Big Mike, why are guys so obsessed with chasing championship rings?
Because that's how we define legacies.
And that's the problem. If the legacy was not defined by championship rings, maybe Ray Allen wouldn't have left. But when that's
a great point.
When you see guys like Charles Barkley who have to be always ridiculed and belittled by the likes of, a Shaq and a Kenny the Jet Smith telling him, his doorbell doesn't work because it doesn't have a good ring to it. You know why guys don't want that.
Can we get the drums on that? That's a great line.
You know why guys are so obsessed with chasing these rings. It's about legacy, like what we're speaking to. Like, you don't want to be the guy who's sitting there and they say, oh, yeah, he was a great player, but he never won a ring.
Well, and
this is why guys are doing this. So if you guys don't want players jumping teams, chasing rings, let's change the culture and what defines a great player.
100%.
It should be the body of work, not a ring on your finger.
There's no question
JaVale
that's
McGee stands to win a championship ring this year with the Warriors.
And
Matt Barnes stands to win a championship ring this year with the Warriors. And I love Matt Barnes to death as a player, but this is not a greater player than a Charles Barkley or a Sean Kemp or a Chris Webb just because they have a ring on their finger.
That's fair enough. And, folks, we love Sweet and Sour. We are up against it. We are going to go to another station break. But just a reminder, guys, CW&PNation.com is coming. The username, or excuse me, the URL does exist right now. There's so many things. However, it is a hold right now. We're going to get the website, Project Pluto, doing his thing.
Oh, you can check it out.
With the web, we want you to check it out. And obviously,
there's nothing there. Don't check it out.
But
I saw something, Pluto. It looks awesome.
But we are really up against it again. Thank you to FYI Ministries, Not by Bread Alone, Power 102, you people on Facebook and YouTube, and obviously our partners with Roku and TuneIn. This is Cw&P on a Saturday night in Mission VAO live from FYI.
We'll be back, Fally. Pluto, what are we riding to this time?
I think we'll play a Pluto beat. This is called Inventory of the System.
Oh, I actually love this one. Taking inventory of your system today, people. We'll be back. Welcome back. You are live with Cw&P Nation on a Saturday
What's
night
up?
from the beautiful FYI Studios in Mission Viejo, California. Syndicated by Not by Bread Alone Radio and Power 102.1 FM on the East Coast, Boston, Atlanta. What up? We see you.
Well, guys, obviously we were in the middle of Sweet and Sour the last time we checked out here for some wonderful music. And I want to get to a topic that early on Cw&P we talked a lot about. And I want to get back, it's back to Magic Johnson and the ball, if you will. So Magic Johnson this week came out and stated that LeVar Ball was not going to be a factor and would have, quote-unquote, no effect in the Lakers' evaluation of Lonzo Ball when they actually were looking at him, at drafting him wherever they end up if they do get that top 3 pick. Are you sweet or sour, Pluto, on whether or not Magic is being honest about whether he's considering what LeVar Ball is and if he factors into that decision for the Lake Show?
There might be a little strategery going on here behind the scenes.
Okay.
But didn't Magic also promise a third round draft pick last week?
I believe he did.
This guy's talking all kinds of. Is he having a stroke? What's going on?
I believe he also happened to mention in this particular story where we pulled this from that if we have a top 3 pick, well, this guy's all over the map. He's guaranteeing it 1 week, and then the next week he's not sure. So I'm not sure. Are you?
Yeah, I'm sour. I maybe he's, like I said, there could be a little bit of strategery to this, that he's just,
Pluto, what in the world is strategery?
Strategery is a made-up word. I think the first President Bush, no, second. I think he said it. Anyway.
That sounds like a Bushism to me.
A Bushism, nuclear.
It does.
So there's some strategy going on. I think he is wants Ball on the team. Mm-hmm. I think he's putting out his best face.
Right.
But the dude, Magic is a savvy player, businessman. He's got to know, one, that Ball's kind of average.
Mm-hmm.
His stats aren't, we shouldn't be clamoring for him. We're probably not going to, I'd be surprised if we gave him a huge contract.
Right.
So I think I'm sour, but I'm giving myself room in case there is some kind of backdoor strategery going on.
I think I'll go next on this and just state it like this.
Shout out Andre Peoples. Thank you for
what's up,
tuning in
Andre?
today.
Magic, I don't believe you. And nor do I believe any GM or president or owner or coach or player that says he does not consider LeVar Ball as a factor. LeVar Ball has been so vocal and so outlandish and so braggadocious, and he lives vicariously through his kids. It's impossible not to consider it. How in the world can you sit there and tell me you're not considering something that is literally the sore thumb that is sticking out of this whole woodpile? You're sitting there telling me you're not considering what LeVar Ball is going to be. Look how big a deal he is now on ESPN. You think that's going to shrink if you draft Lonzo? No, and it absolutely should be a factor because he's a huge distraction. Because, let's be honest, he didn't sell nearly as many shoes as everybody thought, which we'll get to later. But, Hebrew, what do you think?
I told you that last week, Big Mike.
Go ahead.
Anyway, I am so sour on the comments that Magic made. Actually, I'm sweet, actually.
Okay.
Because you said that he's not taking into account what he's saying.
Right. Well, I said his level of honesty. Are you sweet or sour on it?
Okay, so that's a little confusing. So I'm definitely sweet, even on his level of honesty.
Okay.
For the fact of who in their right mind would take anything that LeVar Ball has to say seriously. So on
that's
that
a good point.
basis alone, I know Magic is not considering LeVar Ball because he would look like a fool to consider anything LeVar Ball has to say because all he does is speak tomfoolery. So the fact, and he manufactures.
That's quite good.
He manufactures sales of shoes just to get people talking on ESPN. When you brought me those numbers, Big Mike, I was like, this is some real fun with numbers because they're all cooked. Shout out Bernie Madoff, but
I can't believe you just did that.
But yeah, like I'm saying, LeVar
The
Ball.
the LaVar Ball is just a Ponzi scheme. It's one giant.
And
It could be. You never know.
And he's never going to see $1 billion off his Ponzi screen, so he's not even a good Ponzier. But
Is that a thing?
He's
hey,
making
if
up.
Pluto can make up a word, I sure can.
I didn't
take
make
some
it up.
license.
no,
the president.
I'm not saying you can't.
But back to my point at hand, I really don't think Magic takes anything into account, and I really think the only reason why Lonzo Ball is even being considered as a Laker still is purely just a ploy for the fans. This is all what it's been since LeVar Ball started talking, and he better give his little brother some of that money that he's going to make this year coming up, because nobody was talking about a Ball brother at all until the little boy hit 92 points. So I'm looking for him to get at least, some goodness out of this contract. LeVar Ball's out of his mind. Magic Johnson definitely is not taking his opinion into account. And I hope that he's smart enough not to take Lonzo Ball at all, because honestly, like Pluto said, like Big Mike said, his stats are average, below average. He wasn't a great player to me at UCLA. We got some great NBA players that came out of UCLA. Shout out my Riverside native, Reggie Miller. And, this guy to me is not even going to be an impact player off the bench. Even Big Mike disrespected my boy Tough Juice Rivers on the pre-show, saying that he can hope to be like him. And I'm like, first of all,
no,
Austin,
I said hope to be like him.
But he shouldn't even be mentioned. Austin Tough Juice Rivers has proven himself in this league.
He has.
And he came in as Lonzo Ball should be coming in under the radar. But thanks to LeVar Ball, everybody has a target on his back. He skipped the NBA Combine. To me, that's not coincidence.
Oh, no, not at all.
To me, he's hiding a lot of flaws that he has, which we all saw in this last Final Four. So we'll see what happens with Lonzo Ball. If he goes at a top 10 pick, to me, it's a wasted pick.
He didn't go to the Combine?
No, absolutely not.
that.
He actually decided to opt out.
Yeah, this dude is gonna be.
If he's a top 10 pick, it's a wasted pick.
I feel like he's got maybe a couple seasons, and then he's gonna become some like reality TV star.
They're gonna,
I swear, like he's gonna.
That right there, Pluto. I think that you just hit it on the head.
Yeah,
I think that's what they're setting up. I think they're just setting up a reality TV.
They're going to have the reality show before his career is over.
This is a reality show.
Actually,
I got the title, Pluto. Not balling with the Ball brothers.
You know what though? I'm going to bring. That's actually a great title. I'm going to bring this up. There is already a LeVar Ball reality show. It's on ESPN every other week.
First take?
But, yeah, pretty much. But I want to bring this up, and this will be a short, sweet, and sour, because I think we all know where we're at with this. So Mike D'Antoni, after the blowout loss to the Spurs, said that James Harden may rest more in 2017-18 at the start of the new year, because he's using that as possibly...
One more time, Pluto.
Possibly the Pac-Man dying sound is amazing. Is actually using that as an excuse for why Harden played so bad in Game 6 is a fact of him being exhausted. I'm starting this one. I'm going to make it short and sweet. I'm sour. Stop with the rest thing. You're a prime athlete, an MVP candidate, and the leader of your team. Get your butt in shape and stop it and rest instead of going out partying, which you obviously do after you lose by 39 points. And honestly,
that's something to celebrate, huh, Big Mike?
Let's end this nonsense of the players resting. Oh, that might be a good idea. It's not a good idea. The Rockets were not as good as the Spurs, period. But when you lose by 39 and you get out coached and your best player looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy because he's putting turnovers in the toaster, we need to stop with this, and that's where I'm at on it. Hebrew?
I am so sour. We see why Mike D'Antoni was relieved of his duties in Phoenix.
And with the Lakers.
The Lakers was a joke. That's something not even to mention. But his whole coaching style is not going to be effective on an NBA level. I mean,
not at all.
You cannot just shoot 83s a game, and then you say you got to get the closest two-pointers that you could possibly get, but you don't have a post presence, and you're relying on James Harden, which is true, and which he really talked about is how bad of a coach he is when he said he needs to rest. It's not the fact that James Harden needs rest. It's the fact that he's carrying such a heavy load, having to be the post and the perimeter player and the mid-range player and the facilitator, everything that he has to do.
All valid points,
because you're not making your other players do their jobs properly. I mean, you got Trevor Ariza, who's historically never been the player he should have been on your team. Patrick Beverly, he's supposed to be some type of great guy. He didn't show up for you guys. Y'all got Montrezl Harrell. Shout out the young boy Clint Capella, though. I really like that kid.
Oh, the kid from Sweden, he's good.
I think he's going to be an awesome player in this league.
He looks like DeAndre Jordan a little bit.
Well, that's what they're looking for is the prototype DeAndre Jordan. Really,
of course they are.
DeAndre Jordan is your prototype for the center in this league because the big man has become such an afterthought. All you really need is some good defense and a couple dunks.
I would tend to agree with that.
So,
and
with that being said, I do not like at all what D'Antoni had to say. Me and Big Mike hate rest, as everybody knows who's a regular listener of Cw&P Nation. And I just saw the last press conference from Mike D'Antoni. I think they'll definitely be looking for a new coach in the offseason, and they're going to have to retool that whole team there.
I think that might be a little bit harsh with the new coach thing because the Rockets weren't even supposed to be this good. But I will give you this.
It wasn't because of D'Antoni. It was because of James Harden.
But you got, as much as you can blame it on coaching, you also have to give credit where credit is due.
I'm not blaming the coaching. To me, Mike D'Antoni has always been a horrible coach.
Okay, well that's fair. I mean, I'm understanding where you're coming from. I'm not saying any of that.
I mean, what they need to do is go ahead and get your boy back that played with Boston. I can't remember his name right now.
Okay, well, fair.
What's the other coach they had right before him?
Who? McHale.
Exactly. Why you got rid of McHale, to me, makes no sense.
Took him to the Western Conference Finals.
Bring McHale back. That's all I got to say.
Wow. So that's going to end Sweet and Sour for tonight.
Sweet and Sour.
And again, our number one segment, and it is sponsored by 417 Cloud Crew, and we always appreciate Hebrew allowing us to wear his gear on the air. So thank you very much. And shout out to Hebrew for giving my wife a Mother's Day present, a Cloud Crew 417 shirt. She definitely appreciates it.
Big spender.
We're going to get into the part where, you've had that pizza, you've had those wings, and now you got heartburn. And what we're talking about is our segment. It's brand new. And heartburn is actually going to be that segment where we have fire topics that are absolutely going to blow your mind, and they are up for debate. It's not sweet and sour. I know everybody, you got another debate topic back-to-back. No, these are topics where they're open opinions, and we are giving you not just maybe a short, curtailed answer, but we're giving you the perspective of the knowledge that we have and the different things that we're able to provide as an opinion. So I want to start with this, and this was actually the number one part of the show last week. We had the most viewers and listeners during this segment last week, and we like to call it over-under. Last week, we picked 8 teams in the NFL to actually see what everybody thought their over-under was going to be for the year. And we had teams like the Dolphins, the Chiefs, the Patriots, Cowboys, Texans, Giants, Raiders. This week, we decided to go, since Hebrew is such a homer, he's got two football teams. And we're going to start with the San Francisco 49ers, who
shout out my second home, the Yay area.
Once again, the 49ers are on another new head coach, and that would be Kyle Shanahan, a new GM in John Lynch, who had a fantastic draft. And really kind of a less than desired owner in Jed York. I mean, he really kind of messed everything up between Trent Baalke and Jim Harbaugh, more or less, which has caused the 49ers to go into the toilet of the NFL. So, Hebrew, I'm going to let you lead off since this is your home squad.
I don't know about the toilet, Big Mike.
So, they were 2-14 last year.
We may be waiting.
That's the toilet.
We may be waiting in line for the bathroom, but we're not there yet.
So, let me ask you a question. So, the 49ers, the over-under for your Bay Area team, Hebrew, is 6 games this year, over-under for the 49ers.
I mean, it's that's actually a very what do you call that? That's a very generous over/under, seeing as we only won 2 games last year.
So I assume we know which direction you're headed.
I'm still gonna go over.
Who's starting quarterback?
We don't know.
I'm still going to go
It's
over.
not Mitch Trubisky.
You don't know who the quarterback is? You're going to say over 6 games?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm looking for my 49ers to pick up 8 games this year.
Okay, so you're looking for the 49ers to
Are the
live-
49ers in Pop Warner this year?
It's interesting.
I mean,
it's
how are they
interesting
gonna? How do you figure they're gonna get
you
6
say
games?
that, Pluto? Because I gotta shout out the Moreno Valley 49ers Junior All-American team I played on 95, 96, 97, 98. Shout out the Moval 49ers.
Great.
Al Bundy.
Wow. Can we,
Al Bundy never
Pluto,
talked about
can we
Junior
get your
All-American.
prediction on the 49ers? Over, under, push, or at 6 wins?
I say the 49ers will be disbanded before the season starts.
Oh.
But I don't think they even let them get.
Can
no.
we get a new producer for this show?
Please don't. I like him. Let's keep him around. I don't need a new producer. He does not speak for both of us.
6 games. The NFL. I'm under 6 is not.
Okay,
you're not
well,
doing
give
6
me a
games.
number because under 6 could be anything from 1 to 5, and I can.
4. Are you a business major? Is that how you figured that one out?
Oh man! If I showed you a pie chart, you'd be so confused.
If you showed me a pie,
well, we know it's gone then.
right? 4 games. I'm saying 4
Okay,
games.
so 4 games, and for the 49ers at this 6 wins, I'm actually going to give the Niners a little love. I'm going to give them 5 wins on the year. So I am going to go under, but I actually think the 49ers will be improved under Shanahan and Lynch. I just think the problem is they don't have the players in place yet. They're going to have another high draft pick probably next year, but Solomon Thomas, definitely a great pickup in the draft. John Lynch robbed the Bears of 3 picks and another one next year. And then obviously picking up Reuben Foster at 31 was a steal in this draft. Regardless of if his shoulder's having some problems or not, that will eventually correct itself, hopefully. We're going to go to the next team, and this is the team with the biggest choke job in the history of sports, the Atlanta Falcons. That sounded like the Dolphin. So we're going to go to the Atlanta Falcons in Hebrew. Over, under, or push 11 wins. That sounded like a dove. 11 wins for the animal sounds of the Falcons.
What does a falcon sound like, Big Mike? Since
What?
Was that a falcon on his last wing?
Big Mike's having a stroke.
Quick, Pluto, get the baby aspirin.
Okay. Wow. Anyway, so where are you guys at on this?
Oh, man, I'm looking for a push on that one. I think 11 games sound just about right.
All right, so a push for Hebrew at 11-5, and what say you, Pluto?
No, Falcons are mad. They got a chip on the shoulder. They'll be back. I say over, and I say 12 games.
Shout out Monique Soliberry. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Monique? She wishes we were talking about Reggie Bush, but he actually is retired, and he was the
I was
first.
about to say, is he even active right now?
No, he's not.
He's game show.
Actually, I'm going to surprise a lot of people with the Falcons. I'm actually going under the 11, and I'm actually giving them 9 wins because that Super Bowl hangover is going to be tough to overcome, especially after losing a game like that. Not to mention the fact that the Panthers have gotten way better, and so have the Saints. Shout out all day. And they definitely have improved. And the team nobody talks about, but we will in a minute, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they look deadly on offense. And I'm going to tell you something. That defense has improved in Tampa Bay. I'm giving the Falcons 9 wins, and I'm
Tampa
going
2.
under. And I'm going to say this right now. The Falcons don't even make the playoffs this year. They're not even going to be in the dance of 6.
Come on, Big Mike.
Nope.
That's a little bit harsh.
Not going to happen. Sorry. That Super Bowl hangover is going to resonate with them more than it does other teams.
That's a bit harsh, Big
The
Mike.
next over-under that we have, and Pluto, we're going to start with you on this one, is 11 wins for the Seattle Seahawks, over, under, or push.
No.
Shout out to all the Facebook Live viewers. You guys are awesome.
Steve got Louisiana.
And everybody listening to us on all our outlets as well. But we can see the numbers on Facebook.
That's right.
Please don't ever disrespect our carriers like that again, Big
I
Mike.
didn't. I'm just saying we can see how many
Don't
people are watching.
ever disrespect our carriers like that again.
I didn't. Anyway, we're off track.
We're off
Let's
track. 11, was that what you're saying, Seahawks?
11. 11 for Seattle, yes.
I don't. You know what? I feel like Seattle is not. I say it's under. I say 10 games.
Seattle at 10 games for
I do.
Pluto.
I think the train's coming to a stop here.
Okay, fair enough. Hebrew, where are you at?
Seattle Seahawks.
11 wins for the Seahawks.
I'm going over.
Okay, where are you at?
The defense is still good.
Defense
They still
is,
got Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking they could get 13 games this year.
Wow, so 13 games for the Seahawks. I actually like them to push. I think 11-5 is more than enough to win the NFC West, and I honestly think that they'll be at that point where, you know, they were this year, where they're going to have a first-round playoff game. I think they win it. How far they go after that's completely up to them. I am giving them a push at 11. Now we bring up the much maligned Jacksonville Jaguars, and much maligned meaning that they have supposedly been on the cusp of greatness for the last decade, and unfortunately have been unable to fulfill that. However, with Leonard Fournette now in the backfield, and supposedly Blake Bortles now has some help on the offensive line, and the defense has gotten way better this offseason with additions like Calais Campbell, I'm going to start off with the Jags, and I put the over-under at 5. I'm actually... Well, they only
You said all that about being on the cusp of great?
No. I said
and now we're talking about 5.
No, wait a minute. I've been misquoted in my own book. Shout out Charles Barkley. They are on the cusp of greatness according to all the experts for the last 10 years. They've been given all these projections of how good they're going to do. My point is they've gotten better, and with the over-under being at 5, I'm giving them a 7-9 season. I think the Jags will be better, but I don't think they're a playoff team as of this point. Pluto.
Over.
Okay. How
9
many
games.
you giving them?
9.
9?
9.
Wow. Pluto's
9.
giving them 9, Hebrew. Where you at?
I'm going under here.
Okay. Wow. You look so distressed when you said that,
Because
too.
I'm
Like
just the Jacksonville Jaguars, like, are you going to consider maybe making a city move? I don't understand.
Wow.
What you guys have been doing for the last 10 years and this cusp of greatness Big Mike is alluding to.
No, ESPN alludes to it. I'm just giving you the
This
facts.
is CW&P round here.
No, I understand.
There's not been no greatness. I don't see no greatness. If I'm playing Madden against Pluto, I'm not picking the Jaguars.
No one should.
So
Don't pick up the controller.
How many wins?
I'll give them 4 wins, and that's love.
Wow, 4 wins for the Jags. Okay.
That's love.
And we just talked about this team a second ago. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers over-under at 10 games, Pluto.
That is a crazy number.
That is
Big
a
Mike.
crazy.
Well, let's not forget, they were in playoff contention last year up until the last few weeks of the season.
And what happened? What
And
was the ending record?
I believe it was 7-9. But
That's why I'm saying.
But they added
and now they're
O.J.
gonna win
Howard,
3
and the
games
defense
more?
has gotten better, and they still have Mike Evans. And there's still Jameis Winston's coming into his own his 3rd year, and Doug Martin is still in that backfield for him. The Bucs have some talent on offense and defense, so 10 I didn't think was too far.
You're adding 3 games.
I understand that, but they're a much better football team. Pluto, what do you say at 10 games?
Under 7.
7 games.
The defense hasn't been shored up enough.
7 games for the Bucs. What say you, Hebrew?
And I tend to agree with Pluto, but 7. I think they may have gotten better, but the problem with them getting better is their whole division has gotten much better.
Okay,
That's true.
fair enough.
So
Very
I'm
true.
not sure if they're going to even be able to make it to the 7 games they made last year. So I'm going under 6.
Okay, so a 6. They're actually going to get an under from me as well. I'm giving them a 9-7 season.
I knew that you knew that was too generous.
Well, no.
10 games.
But I thought
10 games from the Bucs.
well, yeah, but if you're 2 games better, like I'm predicting they will be, or a push or a little bit under, I mean, they're obviously.
Is Jack Sparrow about to start playing football?
Wow, he just brought up Jack Sparrow on a sports show. That's
My point exactly.
wow, and we're going to the Super Bowl, Chance. Very nice. The next team is the Denver Broncos, who won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And the Broncos, I have their over-under at 9 games, which is where they finished last season. Pluto, over or under or push the 9 games?
Push.
Push at 9 games. How about you, Hebrew?
I'm going over.
Okay. How many wins they got
Denver
coming?
Broncos had a pretty good offseason so far. So we're going to go ahead and give them 11 games.
Okay. In my opinion, Trevor Siemian is still their quarterback, so I'm going under. I'm giving him 7. I don't think the Denver Broncos, that defense might be able to hold up, but that offense is garbage with Siemian and Paxton. So I'm absolutely going under. And even with Jamal Charles getting added, doesn't even matter. The fact is that if Charles is anything like what he used to be, they might win 9 games, but they are seriously bad.
30, 35, 40,
I am going, and I'm being generous at 7. Next team is the New Orleans Saints, and they were about 500 last year, so their over-under is 8.
What you got on this one, Steve? What is your over-under? I know you was shouting out Louisiana. I hope you're still with us. And over or under?
Pluto, where are you at on
8
this?
games out there on Facebook
Mr.
Live.
Payton's still there? Sean's still the coach?
Sean's still the coach.
All right. And what did you say, 500?
500 was about what they were last year, so we put their over-under at 8.
Ooh, 500 means 8.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys pull off.
At least in a 16-game season.
Right. That's true.
Big Mike?
He's a business major. He knows these things.
I do.
Big Mike, that's not nice.
10
I'm
games.
just stating the fact. All
10
right,
games.
So 10 games. Pluto's going over. Hebrew,
my dark horse.
Say you?
Over. How many games you got, Steve? And I tend to agree with you on that
Well, with
one.
the Adrian Peterson
I
edition,
tend
that
to agree
certainly
with you
helps.
that, Monique. That's what I've been saying to these guys, but nobody doesn't want to hear me, so I'm glad you said it. And,
Shout out Monique Soliberry. What's
I
up,
do
bro?
like the Saints this year. I'm definitely going over.
Okay.
Can't wait
How
to
many
see
games?
what AP does. We're looking at 11 games on these guys.
Okay, and I as well am going over on the Saints, but I actually think that the Saints...
You guys are not going to the Super Bowl, Joydan. Nice try, buddy, but I see you out there in Dallas.
I'm going over with the Saints. I like 11 as well. I actually agree with Hebrew. I actually
That's a
think
miracle.
they're about 11-5.
And Steven Griffith out there on Facebook Live also went over. He's definitely a Louisiana homer, and
He's got 10
games.
on there. Okay, guys, so the last over-under. The Green Bay Packers, who are constantly on the cusp of going to the Super Bowl, it seems, every year, but just never seem to be able to make it over the hump.
That's because Brett Favre was doing all those Icy Hot commercials.
Yeah.
I thought it was the Copper Fit.
Same thing.
Okay, fair enough. So the Packers, I have their over-under at 11 wins for the season, or you can go ahead and push. Hebrew, what say you, buddy?
Packers at 11 wins. That sounds about right. I'll push that one.
Okay, so we're pushing there. I'm going to go ahead. I'm giving the Packers 12 wins to go 12-4. Think that Aaron Rodgers is going to have his best season yet. What say you, Pluto?
What 11 is what you're saying?
11
No, they're going over. I think they will feel the urgency of having to make a good run. I think they're tired of getting close and getting close and getting close.
Fair enough.
Let me have a good 13.
Okay, so 13 wins for the Packers. Wow,
In honor of my boy Jarrell Joydan, we would like to extend this and do one for the Dallas Cowboys this week. So what number are we getting for this one, Big Mike?
Last week we did the Cowboys. Jarrell.
Yeah.
I gave them 11 wins.
All right.
Hebrew?
I believe I gave them an under at 9 wins.
Okay, and for Pluto?
I can't remember what I gave them,
I
but
believe you pushed on that, if I remember right, at 10.
that sounds like a good one.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, they're pushing.
Yeah, so we have 11-5, 10-6, and 9-7.
So no one's gonna win anything based on any of them.
No, actually, so as of right now, it looks like a lot of you two have the Falcons going pretty far. All of us have the Seahawks doing well. All of us have the Packers doing well, and all of us have the Saints doing pretty
And
decent.
Monique got the Saints going all the way to the Super Bowl.
Well, for your sake, honey, I hope you're right. So we are up against our final break of the evening. And then when we come back, we're going to have one more or maybe a few segments left in Heartburn. And we definitely appreciate, and I am not spiting anybody, all of our listeners on Not By Bread Alone,
Sprite?
Power 102.
I would like a cup of Sprite, Big
You know
Mike.
what?
you
As hot as
are
it
you
is in
spriting?
this room right now, I would love Sprite. But we definitely appreciate all of our listeners, viewers, everybody. You guys are amazing. You guys are what make this show possible, and that's why we appreciate you so much. We will be back after a short musical break where we're going to talk about a few more topics in the world of sports before we close out. This is Cw&P on a Saturday night, FYI Studios.
Yeah, Not by Bread Alone Radio. Thank you. Power 102.1 FM. Thank you. Gerline, we see you. Picasso, what up? We see you. Pluto, what we riding to?
Hey, since Picasso's on the interwebs with us, let's do How Many Knocks featuring Picasso and IPU.
Yeah.
Here we go.
There we go. A little bit of blood related.
How many knock, knock, knocks? How many knock, knock, knocks? How many knock, knock, knocks? Hallelujah. Let me tell you I'm standing, all you can imagine is happened. Been hacking, the damages are stagnant. Should be out of ration, acting like a madman. Honestly, I'm covered by the blood, so I'm laughing. Full of joy, my passion, overweighs the passion. Living for the king of kings, salute to my captain. Despite the disasters, grounded in a plaster. Sturdy on the rock, I'ma preach it like a pastor. Hurricane of sunshine, this word it must go for. So the body can't be quiet, must be vocal. Lift the voices high, higher than pollution. Don't trust the enemy, the author of confusion. I ain't going backwards, pressing towards a master. Do that up a call, nothing otherwise matter. This kingdom focus light to the dark, we are light. To die is the game, but to live is the Christ. How many knock, knock, knocks? Will it take that knock me up off my block? My God won't stop. Many knock, knock, knocks. Will it take that knock me up off my block? My God won't stop. 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 My God won't stop.
Dropped out of the school of hard knocks, cause I couldn't pass the thug life masterclass. Thought about joining dope boy trap team, but I wear my emotions on the long sleeve. A hot-headed hot boy, that's a gel my destiny. A product of the streets, but they won't define me. Transferred to the school of faith, Grace University. Join Jesus with a team, put the spirit past the word to me. So free feel to knock as hard as you want. My block needs to be shaken, too many lives are lost. Black lives do matter, see the hashtag heart shatters. Too many mamas crying, too many cops lying, believe in them. Lord, I'm trying, but it's hard to when history tells you otherwise. So I pray that we see the devil in disguise and harmonize with our eyes focused on the prize.
Will it take that knock me up off my block? My God won't stop. Many knock, knock, knocks. Will it take that knock me up off my block? My God won't stop. 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 My God won't stop.
How many knocks will it take for you to hear me, my son? How many knocks will it take for you to fear me? Don't run. Been through the flames, been through the failures, different avenues, where was I headed? Knocked down false hope and false love, no matter the time, he put me back on my block. He never stopped loving me, in my heart eternally. Washed me, clothed me, freed me, once was blind, now I see. Was blinded by the earthly things. Life ain't what it seems, it's not about the cream. Knock, knock till you answer, knock, knock till you see, knock, knock till you free. Knock, knock, just believe.
How many knock, knock, knocks? Will it take that knock me up off my block? My God won't stop. Many knock, knock, knocks. Will it take that knock me up off my block? My God won't stop. 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 My God won't stop.
Welcome back to the FYI Studios in Mission Viejo, California, and a thanks again to our partners here at FYI and obviously Not by Bread Alone, Power 102, and obviously all of our outlets on TuneIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Roku. And again, thank you so much for tuning in, listening, whatever you're doing as far as watching us. We really do appreciate everybody tonight, and what a great broadcast we've had. And as we wind down, I wanted to go ahead and really get into something.
Big Mike, shout out Carolyn.
Carolyn Duggart, thank you very much for joining in.
Thank you for tuning in tonight.
Yes, thank you so much for tuning in tonight, Carolyn. And One thing that I wanted to get your guys' take on is the fact that obviously that famous four-letter sports network keeps doing this, and it drives me absolutely crazy. And that's the fact that we're having these drafts that are literally called way too early drafts. Mel Kiper, who is supposed to be the guru on ESPN for drafting players, literally got 4 out of 32 picks right in the first round in last month's draft. So my question is, guys, do I have a right to have a beef with this nonsense that we're predicting stuff that's like a year away? We have no way of knowing what team needs are, who's going to be healthy, who's not going to be healthy, who's going to actually have, the depth that they need and everything else. I mean, do we just need to squash these all together, or is this just kind of a part of what sports has become at this point?
Well, to me, it's all, they're looking for material. So they want to try to create, some type of controversy, some type of drumming up, and like you said, it's just totally jumping the gun. You don't even know what the teams are going to need. You don't know what type of injuries are going to take place, who's going to be available, coming up from the college ranks or, so it really makes no sense like what you're talking about. But I think people are just really looking for material. That network is really having a problem with material these days.
Oh, without a doubt.
Well, when you fire half of everybody,
that's what I'm saying. And the shows
hard to come up with material.
The shows that you keep are having a lot of political influences.
Oh, there's no question
They're really
about
starting
that.
to drift away from sports, and this is the type of stuff that happens when when you lose your first love, when you lose what the fans loved you for, like we've been talking about for weeks on this show. ESPN, we love SportsCenter. We want to see every sport. We want to see those updates.
Absolutely,
That's what we want to see. We really don't want to see people giving up, all their opinions and all their little innuendos and what they feel about society norms and all this stuff. We just want to see good sports, the unifier. Sport is a unifier. This is what people are getting away from, and this is why they're now searching for other material. But I always like the fact of what sports can do to bring people together rather than try to always cause these type of divisions.
Well, I would tend to agree. Pluto?
You know what? I want to rag on it. And I agree a lot with what Hebrew said, that they got to find material. You got a 24-hour station. There's only so many times you can replay the ice curling from Ireland, whatever it is. But okay, so I'll take this in a different direction though. So I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, and in the Star Wars universe, there is
You're not a nerd. You're a Jedi, Pluto.
That's right. Thank you. There's endless analyzation of every little scene and if there's a trailer, there's a pre-trailer, and then there's a trailer teaser, and then there's discussion about the trailer. So what I'm trying to say is, if you're into it, if you're into this stuff, if you're into these drafts, if you do a lot of the fantasy and this stuff is interesting to you, if it's your ship in the bottle, you're going to be into it and you're going to want as much of it as you can get your hands on. If for the rest of us who probably aren't that crazy mega focused onto it, we're like, well, what why do we have to have this 9 years before the draft actually comes out?
Right.
So I get that, but I'm saying there is a market for it. It's a selective market, but there are people who are ultra uber stat draft people who are into it. So I think I got a. Is this an over and under, or is this a sweet and sour? I got lost.
No. This is just your
my
opinion, buddy.
I think it's cool. I think if you're into it, you're into it, and you're not, you turn it off.
Fair enough.
You go watch ice curling.
I would.
But to your point, Pluto, that I like, would you really want to see a trailer for a Star Wars movie that's not coming out for 3 years? Because then you're going to have to wait that long to see the movie.
Yeah, he would actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry.
But I don't think there's.
And I think I have.
I don't think there's that many draft guys out there. Star Wars is an epic universe, but I don't know.
Sometimes it feeds onto itself, though. All the draft guys are into it so that they can talk to each other about draft stuff. It doesn't serve the general public any purpose or entertainment for that value. But I think it's just whatever you're into, that's what you're gonna want more of.
So more maybe appropriate question would be, would you want them to tell you the cast of a Star Wars film that is not even going to be set because the cast could potentially change because they don't even know what the cast is yet?
Yes.
Wow.
I'm telling yes.
Okay.
Because I'm that into
All
it.
right.
I want to know the maybes. I want to know the perhaps, the rumors. I'm into it.
I like the way Stephen T. Griffin put it for us, to each his own, and very much agreed on that. We're going to get to our final topic of the night since we have about 5 minutes left, and I think and we are going to share our NBA top 5 next week. That was going to be a topic for tonight, but I want to finish with this, and it's called The Strange Case of Lonzo Ball. And what I wanted to know, much like Benjamin Button, this is one of the weirdest cases that I have ever seen. The fact is that Lonzo doesn't want to go to the NBA draft combine. He doesn't want to show off his skills to scouts, and his father is out in front of him making more noise than any parent, agent, or anybody that anyone can remember in a team sport, at least in a very long time. My question to both of you, is this pretty much just a huge smokescreen for where Lonzo's talent really lies? Because I want to point something out. The balls... And, I'm not sure whether or not, they were part of generating these statistics. But there was rumor out there last week that there were over 5,000 pairs of Zo2s that got sold in the first day. There was a report done by NickKicks.com. And again, I don't know where the initial sourcing, and I'm stating that for the record, came from on the 5,000 or thousands of pairs on the first day. But what I want to emphatically state is that according to the NickKicks.com website, there were a total of 328, not 3,028, 328 transactions done on the Big Baller brand site over the course of the 24-hour period when the shoes were released, and shoes were not even included in all 328 transactions. So my question to you two gentlemen is...
And how many of those transactions were refunds?
Wow, I don't even know. They didn't list that information. But what I do want to know is this. Is this just a big smokescreen to get us to believe that Lonzo is something he isn't, and LeVar's just hyping and pumping him up continuously for that reason, and we need to buy his shoe, and it's a luxury shoe, and not everybody buys a Bentley. People buy a Ford Focus, all this other stuff, these analogies he keeps using. Is this just a big cloud of smoke to get his son a high draft pick and money and sell shoes while he can? Or do you actually think there is some legitimacy to Lonzo, and this is going to be something that we see from not only him but his two brothers as well?
You want me to go?
Got it, Pluto.
All right, so we were talking about this in the pre-meeting, pre-production meeting. I think he's, the thing we talked about, the Rolling Stones, the greatest band in the world. Why? Because they said it. Why was Michael Jackson called the King of Pop? Because he had it written into his contract that people would refer to him that way. I think LaVal's trying to do the same thing. If he just keeps saying it enough and saying it enough and saying it enough, maybe, there's enough name out there, there's recognition, there's media, there's ESPN, and it's actually kind of maybe a good bit of marketing on his part. But I think he's doing that because he knows his kid's got, he's average. And I don't want to rag on the kid because I can't be average in the NBA.
Correct.
Obviously the kid's got some talent if he's getting through the draft. But I think their move here is to generate hype, to generate buzz, and to get as much as that going so that, they can sell some shoes. And we talked about it in the pre-production. We were kind of goofing around about it, but I think, he's got 2 seasons and he becomes we get the balls all on reality TV. One big giant reality TV ball show.
It's a great point.
So, but yeah, I think he's trying. I think he's a salesman. He's in salesman's mode and he's trying to sell. And you say the stuff that you got to say when you're trying to sell. So
fair enough, Hebrew.
Man, I like the point that Pluto brings up about the Rolling Stones and Michael Jackson, with them saying something about themselves to hype themselves up to get publicity or whatever. Only thing I would have to, detract from that line of thinking is that when you speak about the Rolling Stones, when you speak about Michael Jackson, when you speak about Rolling Stones and you speak about Michael Jackson, it's literally those are great talents. So LeVar Ball is going to have to, Lonzo Ball is going to have to back all that up with talent, and we all think he's just an average talent. So I tend to think this is just more nonsense coming from Lonzo Ball's crazy mind, and it's just hyping up, trying to get people to buy his stuff. But I'm not sure it's going to happen.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for the answers to the question. We, unfortunately, at the saddest part of Cw&P, we are out of time. But ladies and gentlemen in our audience on Not By Bread Alone, Power FM 102.1, Facebook, YouTube, Roku, tune in. We appreciate all of you guys, and especially FYI for giving us the capability of broadcasting from the studios here at Mission Viejo Christian Church. I'm Mike, Big Mike, and I really do appreciate you guys yet again. Thank you to the fans. Thank you to everybody, and I'm definitely signing out for the night till next week.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Special prayer of peace and protection for all our listeners. We love you in the love of Christ. God bless you. We'll see you next week.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Change your mind state. Wanna live, gotta die. Your mind state will help you push for the prize. Your mind state. See the live a sacrifice. Know the will of the Lord to survive. Change your mind state. Wanna live, gotta die. Your mind state will help you push for the prize. Your mind state. Still the live a sacrifice. Know the will of the Lord to survive.
Yeah. You might not like us after this one, but yo, we just looking out for you, yo. For real. For real. Yo.
Land of the free, home of the brave. Got all this information but controlled and enslaved. What an idiotic nation. Stupid.